we're back live at Z's Cream and Bean. That was head coach of the Padua Lady Bruins, Dan Brown, and we'll have to give you an update on that score and see.
Yeah, and then I want to apologize for those technical difficulties we had during the interview, so hopefully you guys got to listen to majority of that as it went through.
Yeah, and right now we're going to talk a little Cleveland sports here, as a lot has been going on with the Cavs, Browns, and the Indians. Allison, do you want to say anything about the Cavs, Indians, or Browns? All right, I guess that's a no. That's all right. Amy, Bethany, you got... Oh, here it goes again. That's all right. I think we're okay now. I think it's just cord and
Speak
the
for
mic.
yourself.
That's all right. But let's talk a little Cleveland Cavaliers basketball to start. Go ahead. Yeah,
before you do that,
let's get the update.
Padua with the victory, 57. Nope, hold on one second. That's wrong.
Oh, come on.
Bad job out of me. 55-39. It is their second district title in 3 years, the Padua Lady Bruins.
And as you heard Dan Brown, he's in his, I think, second full season. He coached, he was an assistant at Archbishop Hoban. He's coached all around, but took this job because he knew he had a really solid point guard, and the girls have really played well under him. He lets them have fun, but really creates to their strengths, and this year could be a really great year for them. He said districts is one thing. Conference was awesome. He really enjoyed that, but they had bigger goals. And winning in the tournament is a huge thing for them as, like you said, they win the districts, and hopefully will continue further on, and we'll try to get them here up at Z's in the near future. But as we were going to talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers now, how about some of the moves that they've been making? The trade deadline came and went. Before the trade deadline, they got Kyle Korver, and we all liked that move. At first, everybody was saying he's almost like Dunleavy. He struggled a little bit to find his offense. But, these guys need a little time to understand the offense and go through the motions. The players all have to be on the same page, too. It's not just one player. So I thought he adapted really well. So that was a huge move for the Cavs. But then, you sign a 10-day contract to Derek Williams, and he was the second pick overall. You really don't know what you're going to get. He jumped around a little bit. He's been an impressive player even before the Cavs, but he has a lot of energy. He's that big 6'8" guy that can play defense. He's athletic. And then you go out and you get Darren Williams or Darren Williams.
Darren.
Yeah, one of the two. Darren Williams. And also now it's official as of today, Andrew Bogut, the former Golden State Warrior and Dallas Maverick, is in Cleveland and going to play probably this weekend. So now he's on the Cavs, which he's that defensive center we were looking for. And you get a great, solid point guard as their backup.
Yeah, for sure. And for Cavs GM David Griffin to get these moves, to get these players without really having to give up anything is really good for him and good for the Cavaliers, really expanding on his wizardry that he does, that he's been doing over the past few years. Bye, Allison, as Allison is leaving. But, yeah, David Griffin's doing a hell of a job getting these players. And, listen, when you have a guy like LeBron James who is going to be in the finals pretty much every year, that's how it's gone at least the past 6, you're going to get veteran players who want to come and play to win a championship. And they got hopefully a couple good ones after the trade deadline in Williams, Darren Williams, and Andrew Bogut. Derek Williams has been a pleasant surprise for me. Really showing a lot of energy off the bench. I think he quite possibly has found his role. It will become official Saturday that the Cavs will sign him for the rest of the season after his second 10-day contract. So it's good for him. Maybe he's finally found his niche. He's only 25 years old. So, he's still got a lot of room to grow. And, of course, the Kyle Korver trade, first couple games, a little slow for him, adjusting to a new city, a new team. He's adjusting to shooting those three-pointers now when he's standing still instead of coming off movement off of screens and then catching and shooting. So, but he's really adjusted well to become a prime scorer off that bench. And I was talking to some of the guys I work with today that the Cavs' second unit now could be a starting five for another team in the league. That's how deep they are now. And to have that problem with depth going into the playoffs is a good problem to have in case injuries do arise, which we can all see has happened before.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting to listen to other radio shows, whether it's national or local. But listening to the national radio scene today, a lot of them think the Cavs are now the clear-cut favorites. And, with Golden State, Kevin Durant's injury, he's out probably this season. But, I would imagine be back for playoffs. But we don't know the severity of that injury and how everything's going to go. But a lot of people think that the San Antonio Spurs can give the Cavaliers probably the most trouble out of the West. Does that surprise you at all? I mean, when I look at San Antonio, I mean, they're old. They have some good young players. I think LaMarcus Aldridge and Paul Gasol could be where, the problems could begin in the low post. But now with Andrew Bogut, you got Tristan Thompson. I don't think the Cavs are necessarily match up that bad, but Kawhi Leonard's a great defensive player. I mean, they're a solid team, and I think they could give the Cavs some fits, but I'm not so sure with them either. They're, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, they still have a lot of the same team there.
The thing with the Spurs is that they play good team basketball. They're a really solid team as far as offensively and defensively, and those teams tend to give the Cavaliers trouble. Especially when you're playing against a good defensive team. The Cavs tend to narrow down and go isolation basketball. If the Cavs do move the ball, have ball movement, that tough defense is kind of limited as to the effect onto the Cavs. But the Cavs are a good team. Let's face it, they're one of the best in the league. I still think Golden State, if healthy, is probably still the team to beat on paper. But listen, when it comes down to a 7-game series, anything goes. We saw it last year, and I'm sure we'll see it again this year. But, Cavs going up against the Warriors or Spurs, it's going to be trouble. It's going to be a 7-game series. It's difficult. But the Cavs can match up. And they'll find ways. And got to give credit to Tyronn Lue. I mean, he's, he doesn't get a lot of the credit per se. He gets more criticism, I think, than credit. But he will be able to lock down his rotations. He will be able to push the right buttons in the playoffs where it can lead to success for the Cavs.
Yeah, I'll give credit to Tyronn Lue. One thing he's done is adjusted his offense and defense around the players he has, and he's had to do that quite a bit. If you look at some of the situations he's in, they've just been changing players a lot. I feel like whether it's adding now you add 3 new guys. You added Kyle Korver. Just this team overall keeps changing, and he keeps finding ways to score. I mean, these guys are scoring 124 to 140 points.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of points.
For sure.
Now, defensively is where they need to figure out some rotations to be able to lock down. But let's give credit to David Griffin, the GM here. I mean, he has basically no draft picks for, 10 years, it seems like.
It, yeah.
But even without having, assets to trade other
Still
teams.
finds a way.
I mean, you get Darren Williams, Andrew Bogut, and Derek Williams, all without having to give up a single thing. I mean, that's and you look at what Darren Williams has done this year. I mean, he averaged 13 points and 6 assists a game. Bogut, his numbers were a little low, but he also was injured. I think both those guys were a little bit banged up earlier in the season. But Bogut's one of those guys, you don't need him to score a lot. You need him to block shots, defend the hoop, get rebounds.
You just need him to be a presence. He's not going to give you a whole lot. Let's be honest. He's not going to give you, 25 minutes a game. But if he can give you 10 minutes a game, throw in 6 points, throw in, 4 rebounds and, a couple blocks, that's what you need him for.
Yeah, and I think that's where he fits in really nice. Because him and Tristan Thompson, I think, can be a duo down there. I mean, Tristan Thompson is very active, gives you the rebounds. He'll score maybe 10 to 13 points, but he gives you more of the block shots and the defense. And that's always what you like to see. And with Bogut, I thought we needed another center in there with Birdman going down. It was tough. but he didn't play a lot of minutes. But I think with Bogut, maybe Tristan can maybe take a little bit of a break. So, talking Cavaliers, I think they're looking pretty good, and they made some really nice moves.
Now,
without any assets.
Now
give away.
is the time where they're going to work on just getting to know each other, learn how to play with each other, and then just in time for everyone to come back healthy for the playoffs and make their run again, hopefully to another championship.
Now let's move into the Cleveland Browns. Before we talk Cleveland Indians baseball, their spring training has been going on, but the Browns, we're still a little bit away from the draft, and the draft is like a 3-month talk.
Combine going on right now.
Yeah, the NFL Combine is going on. Are you going to watch the Combine first? And if you are, what are you going to look for? I actually do sometimes look for it. And actually, the last few years, I'm not going to lie, I've watched the quarterbacks. And last year, I thought Carson Wentz at the Combine did look a little bit better. But then again, they don't have pads on.
Right.
So it's a little different story. But I think that's when they shouldn't really make too many mistakes. And if you see mistakes, then maybe you worry a little bit that their consistency might not be there. But do you take anything away from the Combine if you're going to watch it this weekend?
Well, I will not watch it this weekend. I'll just kind of look on social media, see what the people who get paid to do that, see what they have to say. But bottom line is Browns had the first pick in the draft, and pretty much all past couple of months, and even into looking on social media of the Combine. What's going on the past couple of days, everyone is pretty much saying Myles Garrett is the consensus number 1 pick, although a report came out today, Cleveland.com, that the Browns are going to seriously consider Mitch Trubisky with that number 1 pick.
What do you think about that? I mean, Trubisky seems like, he was really impressive at North Carolina.
I've been fully on board with the trade for Jimmy G bandwagon.
Yeah, apparently that's not happening anymore, which is funny. You know how this goes.
It's silly season. I think there's still a chance to happen.
I think it's talk is what it is. A lot of radio stations need this kind of talk and make conversation.
Yeah, and a lot of the
anything can happen.
And a lot of the NFL writers are in with these NFL teams, so the NFL teams ask the writers to pump up the value a little bit. So it's silly season. Don't take anything. I was just actually looking on Twitter beforehand. And Mary Kay Cabot put out a tweet that says, the Patriots would be willing to trade Garoppolo for the right price. So that's
it's called the number 1 pick. We all know this.
I don't even think it'll take that much, to be honest with you.
I'll trade you our 6th round pick and some cash.
Listen, I would gladly give the number 12 pick up, in my opinion, if that's what it costs. Number 12 pick, possibly, and then maybe a 3rd round pick next year. 3rd round picks. The Browns have the draft picks. The reason why I want to go for Jimmy G, even though he's not proven, so to speak, in the NFL, he's been in the league for 4 years.
Well, how about Mike Glennon? What do you think about Mike Glennon? He's intriguing because I have seen him at Tampa. This guy can throw the ball, and when he does play, he's impressive. He hasn't really had a chance here because Jameis Winston, but I feel like he could be.
He's a possibility, but I do like the fact that Garoppolo, he is only 25 years old, so he's got more room to grow. He's been in a productive system where, you win. And
so he would change that from that winning system to a losing system here in Cleveland. What if it doesn't translate?
Well, that's the risk you got to take. We've seen that road before. But if anything, he's learned how to prepare from one of the best coaches and quarterbacks.
Well, hopefully he's prepared on how to run away from defenses too.
That's true.
No, but you know what? Our offensive line wasn't terrible, but I think the Browns need to figure out their center position. If we're going to get a quarterback, you better make sure that offensive line is stable.
Yeah, exactly, and that's where the free agent money comes in. They can spend some money on the free agent. Browns have over $100 million in cap space, so they got to spend that money. A lot of scuttlebutt the past couple of days was the Browns not franchise tagging Terrell Pryor, which
I think behind the scenes they might be a little closer to a deal than we think. If you're not going to if you're not even close to the guy and you really want him, you're probably going to franchise tag him. If you're not franchising him, obviously he wants to be here. You got to be pretty close to a deal. At least that's my opinion.
I totally 100% agree with you, Rob. And even though the Browns came out and said they wouldn't panic if Terrell Pryor left via free agency, the fan base would, because that would be the 2nd year in a row. foundation players have left. Now, I still think they should have franchised him, put the tag on him.
What would he have made? Like, what was it, $10 million?
No, that number, if they did franchise tag him and he signed it and they couldn't get a deal done by July, it would have been $15 million for the 1 year. But still, even though if they would have had to pay him the $15 million for the 1 year, he'd have to prove it that he's worth that money.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, to pay a guy $15 million after he's had one good year, I mean, he's proven that he could be a stud in the NFL. I mean,
right.
he could be. But after 1 year, he goes from making maybe $1 million up to a $14 million increase in pay for one good year. I mean, that's kind of tough. I think and you heard it from Sashi Brown. He said, we're trying to find a middle ground here. I think what he's trying to say is, between $15 million, what he was making last year, let's find something in the middle that can work for both sides.
Right,
here.
and I've seen stuff out there that says, $10 million a year for Terrell Pryor is not a bad deal with so much money. But listen, the Browns have to start. You got to give Terrell Pryor
Jamie
credit.
Collins. They signed Britton Colquitt to a 4-year deal.
They got their
they're on the right track.
They got their long snapper too. So this is a big year for the Browns. They have to make the moves this year, and with the number 1 pick in the draft, go with the best player, the consensus best player in the draft. And everyone from what I've seen is Myles Garrett is that guy.
Yeah, granted it's his footage that I've seen I've only watched a few games, and even then he dominated. I mean, when you look at the teams he played this year, UCLA was impressive. Alabama's, every player in that conference, the Big 12, just dominated this season.
Well, and I believe it was Mike Silver. I hope I'm right on it. If I'm wrong, I apologize. But Mike Silver did come out and say today that, going around talking to people that the surefire slam dunk in this draft is Myles Garrett. In fact, executives, talent evaluators see him as even a better prospect than Jadeveon Clowney. And even though Clowney had first rough couple years, first in the league there due to injuries and whatnot, he's come out the past this year especially, and pretty much dominated. So, and that's what the Browns need. So, I hope they don't overthink it. I hope a lot of what they're saying, people are getting kind of nervous about, is just talk. And I hope they actually do sit down and do the right thing here as we get closer to the draft.
Well, I know a lot of people were talking about Myles Garrett, and you heard Watson, the quarterback from Clemson, talking about, Dallas trade up and get us.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I
mean, does that bother you hearing him say that? I mean, I heard it, and to me, their comments, if he really doesn't want to be here, I'm sure he would show his displeasure. And then, like you said, like Eli Manning did a long time ago where he didn't want to go to San Diego, which I have no clue why. But, it's worked out. But, you want somebody to want to play for you. I think he would.
No doubt.
That comment, think about it. The guy's from Dallas, Texas, or from the Texas area right there.
Yeah.
How nice would it be for him to play in front of his home crowd and stuff? Those comments you can throw out the window. I think it was a little blown out of proportion. It's not really that big of a deal. Although, you got to report it, and everybody did.
And let me go back to my point on why I kind of want to trade for a quarterback or even sign a free agent quarterback. But my preference is to trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. And nowadays, rookie quarterbacks, there's so much of a learning curve that they have to go through. Some can handle it. Dak Prescott is a good example. Had a great team around him, though. Carson Wentz didn't do too bad. But the situation that the Browns are in, coming off a 1-15 season, they have to show massive improvement. And I think the Browns have more of a chance of improving quickly with a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo. With a guy like him, than than a rookie coming out.
Yeah. Now, how would you feel about this deal? How would you feel if the Browns ended up with, say, a quarterback like Deshaun Watson, or say he didn't make it to the Browns, but they got Kaiser and say what we were talking about him from Tampa Bay,
Mike Glennon.
Mike Glennon. How would you feel if the Browns got those two guys, and Glennon starts for a little bit, but you have the rookie sitting on the bench, and you also have Kessler, and at that point you don't know what they do with RG3.
He wouldn't be here.
But I mean, what if they went and got a free agent quarterback that's a veteran and also a rookie quarterback in this draft? Because in all honesty, if there isn't a quarterback at 12, which a lot of things can happen between now and then, I think when you look at what the Browns are going to do in free agency, I think that'll be pretty telling on how they might go about the draft. But I think you're going to see a quarterback go in the draft to the Cleveland Browns. I think that's going to definitely happen. They just need to get the best talent. We have so many needs, and I feel like defensively this draft class is pretty impressive. So why not really strengthen your defense? And then offensively, I mean, unless you feel like the quarterback of the future is in this draft, you have to get him. But otherwise, just get the best players out there. I mean, quit messing around. We have so many. I guarantee you they will make at least one or two trades probably in this draft because we have so many picks. You're not going to use all those picks.
Right.
But, I mean, how many times have we traded a pick and traded down and, next year, what are we going to get, 15 more picks? I mean, we got to start making strides here. And even Hugh Jackson said we need to bring in the best talent and make it competitive.
They have to make the jump, and this is a year that there's no excuses why they can't.
All right. Now let's move to the Cleveland Indians a little bit before we end the show here. The Indians in spring training, you don't look at really wins and losses in spring training too much. You want these players to really, get back in the flow of things, develop. We've seen, some tired arms out there. That happens. There's really nothing to be worried about with that. Some players, Kipnis was sitting out this week. He's tired.
Rotator cuff.
Yeah, and you know what? A lot of these injuries, I think, are just, you have a little time off, then you jump right back into it, and, it's going to happen. But remember, Major League Baseball is a long season. So looking at this team, though, what do you think the Indians still have a lot of needs? I mean, you look at the bullpen. I mean, I think getting Boone Logan was huge for the Indians in the bullpen. Now you have basically two Andrew Millers, including Andrew Miller, in the bullpen. Just a solid overall bullpen. Starting pitching should be impressive, as long as they can stay healthy. Now the lineup with Edwin Encarnacion, you insert him in there, and they picked up some other free agents as well. We'll see if they make the team. But what are your overall thoughts on this Indians team going into spring training?
I tell you what, Rob, it's exciting. It is exciting to be an Indians fan. Pretty much what they did this year is what we've been hammering for a long time.
Oh, man.
For them to
since our main man, Mark Reynolds, was on the team.
They've been cramming for that big move, and they went out and they did it. And they did it multiple times with the addition of Boone Logan, too, solidifying that bullpen. You can't get enough pitching. So that's, when you mentioned about some of the things that the Indians may need, who knows? You may need another starter in there just to provide depth for that rotation. But as far as the lineup goes, the lineup I think is pretty stacked. And then even then, if you add a Michael Brantley in, if he's healthy, from all reports, things have been going well and a slow progress through spring training. So if he can come back and provide you anything, even half of a season, that's going to be a good addition to the Indians. And this team is stacked. Now with the news today that the Red Sox pitcher David Price heading to Alabama to see Dr. James Andrews, Dr. Doom. That's not good for them if he's having elbow problems. So this Indians team is stacked and primed to make that run and possibly head back to the World Series this year. I tell you what, Rob, that last year we didn't really talk about it that much on our show, but what a hell of a run the Indians went through. That was exciting. And I was actually talking to a coworker again about the Indians, and I'm still bitter over that World Series loss.
That was tough.
In fact, I told him that I'm more bitter about this World Series loss than I was in '97.
Whoa!
Because
97, that was
a heartbreaker.
That was a heartbreaker and tough.
But the Indians did have this one, and things were just going the Indians' way.
I mean,
until
up
that
3-1.
rain that rain delay. But that's in the past. We look forward to the future, and it's going to be very bright. I think Progressive Field's going to be rocking. I think the fans are going to go out. I know I'm going to be there at least 7 times this year. Got my tickets already. So
really,
yes,
Look at you.
I got the 6-pack. I bought the 6-pack.
I thought we were going in on something like that. What?
Well,
you bailed, and then you said no, it's not going to happen, and now I'm hearing, wow, this is a Sports on Tap exclusive right here.
Excuse me, getting over this cold. But then I also won tickets to the April 28th game. I'm going to be in charge of the Indians Twitter account, Tribe Live.
Are you kidding?
Yes.
Watch out, folks.
That's going to be awesome.
Be dangerous.
I can't wait for that. That's going to be exciting. So at least
Very
7
cool.
games, possibly more. Looking forward to heading down to the ballpark.
Well, quickly looking at some of, we don't know what the lineup's going to be, but if you look in left field, you have Brantley, and everyone forgets about Abraham Almonte. He's still on this team, and he was impressive before the playoffs. Now, he did get suspended, but he will be back for the full season. Tyler Naquin had a great rookie season, and I thought one of the great signings that not a lot of people talked about was Brandon Guyer. I mean, he was impressive in the World Series, and overall, I think he could be a really good bat. Not against just left-handed, although left-handed, he specializes in hitting against them, but he can hit the right-handed pitchers too, and I think is impressive. And then Lonnie Chisenhall. But look at the depth here. You have Jose Ramirez at third. He had a great season. Now, can he duplicate that? That's the real question. But you have Giovanni Urshela, who had a good year last year playing at that corner. Lindor, obviously. Eric Gonzalez, the backup. Kipnis at second. Santana they have at first. Gomes is going to start, and then Roberto Perez there behind the plate. And Edwin Encarnacion is the DH. And, I mean, that Carlos Santana, if he can put up his batting average was about 260 last year, had the good home run production and RBIs. If he can do that, I think look out. This team, has some now guys that you might not want to pitch against, especially Lindor as well in there.
And let's not forget the Indians, although he's hurt right now, the Indians also signed for the outfield depth Austin Jackson.
Oh, that's right.
He's going to be in the mix possibly in the near future here, too, once he becomes healthy.
Yeah, and I think they have him as almost like he's invited to spring training, and chances are, I mean, he could make it. He's very talented, so we'll see about that. And now looking at some of the starting pitching, it's all almost the same: Kluber, Carrasco, Bauer, Salazar, Tomlin, and Clevenger. And who knows who can come up from the minor leagues or if they pick anybody up. But you just hope that these guys stay healthy, especially, Salazar can be nasty, but maybe not as nasty as the snow outside now. I mean, it's like blizzard-like conditions outside. It's nice and warm in here, and still a nice little crowd here at Z's Cream and Beans. People coming through the drive-thru a lot, though. But, yeah, this Indians team relief, Andrew Miller, Brian Shaw, Boone Logan, Dan Otero, McAllister, Carlos Frias, who they got in a trade with the Dodgers. So Cody Allen as well. Sorry, I forgot about him, the closer.
Yeah, kind of a big deal.
Yeah. But the Indians looking good. It's going to be fun. It's early stages, so we'll have more Cleveland sports talk as we go along, and we'll have some more guests coming in here at Z's Cream Bean. Again, the first Thursday of every month we're up here. If you want to come up here, they're open a lot, but a lot of great ice cream. They have hot chocolate, milkshakes. They do have chili and soup. And, hey, if you want to get away, it's a nice, quiet place. Bring your laptop, your iPhones, or whatever phone you have. They have free Wi-Fi up here. And tomorrow on Fridays, they have karaoke. Every Friday, karaoke up here.
Yeah, quick reminder, next week we will be at the BW3s in Fairview Park, where we will be at the annual Greater Cleveland High School Hockey League All-Star Draft. That'll be live. We'll be covering it for you, so make sure you tune in there. Stick to our Facebook page for more information as the details come out. But again, we'll be at Fairview Park BW3s, where we'll be doing the All-Star Draft live.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. And listen here on Mixlr. We'll archive it also on our YouTube page and all over the place. But it's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of talented guys, and that All-Star game is actually March 17th.
St. Patrick's Day.
It's on St. Patrick's Day at Quicken Loans Arena. So head up to Fairview Park and show your support for these young high school athletes. It'll be a lot of fun. Visit our YouTube page. We're at SOT Podcast on Facebook and at SOT Podcast on Twitter. Our Facebook page usually blows up every once in a while, right? We're on NEOSportsInsiders.com, part of that network as well. All these podcasts are archived. I want to thank everyone for joining us. Josh, any last words? Stay warm, friends.
Exactly.
Have a great weekend, everyone. We're Sports on Tap, part of the NEO Sports Insiders Network. Have a great weekend, everyone.